Next game on the docket. This is when
Are you tired?
This is when you can go get yourself a slice of pie. Go
Maybe
get yourself
watch a movie instead.
some chocolate chip cookies or something. We got the New York Knicks versus the Philadelphia 76ers. The barn burner of Julius Randle versus Joel Embiid.
I feel like you guys are underselling Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle combo versus James Harden.
You couldn't even say that with a straight face.
And the prime James Harden that we have now and Joel Embiid.
The 2022-2023 season schedule is expected to be released in the coming days. The expected Christmas Day games have been leaked and we'll discuss them. But first, the comment of the week comes from David Dave when he said, Watford reminds me of Rashawn Holmes but can stretch the floor a bit more.
Yeah, and I think actually not only can he do that, but he's a better playmaker than Rashawn Holmes. And that's a great player to have coming off the bench right there. And he's young and can improve even more than that. So
my hopes is he'll be even better than Rashawn Holmes, but I guess we'll see.
And maybe has a better head on his shoulders.
All right, so the first game on the docket for Christmas Day, the Golden State Warriors versus the Memphis Grizzlies, a rematch from playoffs last year.
I guess we're going to see whether John Morant is ready to take that next step this year. You know, this is going to be a big year for him to see if he's still just kind of a young budding star or whether he's like ready to be one of the, top players in the league, MVP.
They actually looked like they were one of the biggest contenders of the Warriors in the playoff run. Before he got hurt, they were playing him tough, and even after they got hurt, they were playing him tough.
I'd argue Jaws already among those. The one caveat would be that the team played well without him. But, man, when he was out there, he was putting on a show almost every game.
45 points a night. Yeah.
In the playoffs, he was balling out, too.
He was.
And do you guys think there's any chance that the Golden State might look significantly different this year with no Gary Payton, too, and possibly no Draymond? Do you think Draymond's going to go somewhere else?
I think Draymond stays no matter what. They'll give Draymond what he wants.
He's a free agent still?
No.
They've been talking about a trade if they if they won't give him an extension.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think he'll stay.
So if Golden State does look more or less like they did last year, I'm still going to have Golden State beating Memphis in that game, although I think it's going to be a really good one.
I think the Warriors could come out sleepy, honestly. They just won a championship. They've lost a few of their dogs, like you just mentioned. I think the Grizzlies might pull the upset.
This is Christmas as well, so by this point the season will be in full swing, so a lot depends on the injuries and whatnot, but I think the Grizzlies will come out swinging because, they're the champs. Everyone takes their biggest swing at the champs, and the Grizzlies are like these young upstart, like, talk crap type squad.
They do that.
They want to just show them, on a big stage that they're ready. So I think the Grizzlies will win.
Next game on the docket, the Dallas Mavericks versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Mavericks coming off a deep playoff run that I think not too many people really saw coming. And the Lakers coming off a very disappointing season.
And prepped for another one? The Lakers?
What are you talking about, man? Westbrook's going to get more triple-doubles.
Yeah. What did the Lakers do to get better this offseason? Really?
Lonnie Walker. Do you not have faith in Lonnie Walker?
They still have Russell Westbrook on the team. They're still going to lose.
Cancels out any Lonnie Walker additions.
I have to mention the Mavs. I've said it a couple times. They just lost Jalen Brunson, and I didn't see them improve really at all this offseason. So I'm not the biggest believer in the Mavs roster either. They are getting Tim Hardaway Jr. back. And that's a big boost, but both of these teams are they got a couple big studs and then surrounded by kind of meh, in my opinion. So it could be either
backsliding
team.
Rosters a little bit, losing pieces.
I think,
at least with the Lakers aging out a little bit.
I think if both teams are healthy, the home team will win this one. So probably the Lakers.
I'm gonna go with the Mavericks. At least they made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, only one of these teams doesn't have Russell Westbrook on it, so I'm going with the Mavs.
Next game on the docket, the Denver Nuggets versus the Phoenix Suns. I think that might be the game of the night, honestly.
It's going to be fun. Assuming both teams are, looking good and healthy and are playing at their peak, they're going to be two of the Western Conference
It definitely depends on if the Nuggets can get fully healthy. They've not had their full complement of players in several seasons now.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how Jamal Murray comes back. I mean, he's been MIA, obviously, with the injuries, but and then Michael Porter Jr., he's got some serious back issues, so it's a matter of not only are they going to be healthy, but are they going to be back to the old players about how they were. And then on Phoenix's side, obviously they retained DeAndre Ayton. Kirby was
No, they
right.
lost him, didn't they?
Kirby was right.
Where'd
and they
DeAndre Ayton end
and
up?
they kept DeAndre Ayton. But it's going to be interesting to see how the Suns perform this year after that embarrassing loss that they suffered at the hands of the Dallas Mavericks.
I think that they could kind of be on an emotional low too. This last season, after losing the finals 2 years ago, they really came out swinging. They were like motivated to play well. It's going to be interesting to see if that will continue. I don't really know if it will. I feel like they kind of got their hearts ripped out. It might be a tough season for the Suns.
The organization wrote an apology letter to the fans. How often does that need to happen? Like, what in the heck were they doing out there?
That was a crazy experience to watch that game. One of the craziest experiences I've had watching playoff basketball in my life.
And the Luka meme where he's like,
yeah, the meme of the 2022 season.
The one thing I will say is that Christmas is in the regular season, and that's where the Suns have looked really good the last couple of years.
It's not series basketball.
It's not a playoff series. It doesn't matter that much, and that seems to be when the Suns really fall apart. I am going to go with the Suns on this one.
I think I'm going to go with the Nuggets on this one. Depending on, obviously, it really depends on if Murray and Porter and those guys can stay healthy. But even if they don't, Jokic is enough, I think.
Could be.
I think this one's going to be close. I will take the home team. I will take the Suns.
Next game on the docket. This is when
Are you tired?
This is when you can go get yourself a slice of pie. Go
Maybe
get yourself
watch a movie instead.
some chocolate chip cookies or something. We got the New York Knicks versus the Philadelphia 76ers. The barn burner of Julius Randle versus Joel Embiid. Very exciting matchup.
I feel like you guys are underselling Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle combo versus James Harden.
You couldn't even say that with a straight face.
And James Harden and, the prime James Harden that we have now and Joel Embiid. Like, hey, Embiid,
I think Harden's going to be getting himself some pie and cookies, maybe.
I don't know. Well, it'll be interesting to see how Harden comes into camp this year. I know he's been maligned lately because of how he's come into camp lately.
Yeah, I don't really see that changing much, man. Maybe.
It almost seems like maybe it got to him a little bit this year.
I think so,
I don't
too.
know, because he did that whole thing this offseason where he agreed to a big pay cut so they could go try to get more players. I think he's a little embarrassed about how kind of not superstar he's looked.
He is getting older, though. It might be too late.
If he stayed in shape, he would have more lift than he's had, though, and would not look as bad. He's just been his hamstring. But he's been out of shape, too. And when you're out of shape and old, that's like compounding. So if he at least shows up in shape, we'll see.
If I have to make a choice, I think it's pretty obvious that the 76ers are the favorites in this one.
Yeah, I have the Sixers.
Nothing really much needs to be said. The Sixers have an MVP candidate. The Knicks have
Mitchell Robinson.
Julius Randle.
Do they still have Steve Novak?
The championship belt celebration.
And the fifth and final game on the docket, the Boston Celtics versus the Milwaukee Bucks. That actually might be the game of the night right there.
Yeah.
Fireworks.
Yeah, that was the best series in the playoffs this last year, in my opinion. Went to Game 7. If Milwaukee would have had Chris Middleton, who knows what would have happened.
I know what would have happened. They would have won.
Hearsay.
Yeah, it might be, but I say, and it would have happened. It definitely would have happened.
That's what we're here for, is to speculate. So.
If the Bucks are fully healthy, they're going to be tough to stop this year. I think they're probably going to come out on a mission. They know they can win it all if they've got their full complement of players.
They know they have probably the best player in the league on their team.
Yeah.
And they don't want to waste his time.
And I think the Celtics could be honestly coming off of a little bit of a come down too. The deep playoff run, more minutes, more wear and tear on their bodies. I mean, again, it'll be a few months, removed from that, but
it will. And then there's also, by that point, I don't think there will be too much emotional stuff going on with the Celtics in terms of instability this offseason. But, there is the whole question of Jaylen Brown and him maybe being trade bait for Kevin Durant. I mean, hopefully that doesn't, bum him out to the point that he feels unstable on the team. But, it can definitely mess with chemistry when you start talking about bringing in a superstar player, whether it happens or not.
Going down the roster a little bit, but Derek White also had a major surgery. Losing him if he's still out by that point.
I will say they added Malcolm Brogdon for a steal of a deal. So that's a great piece instead of Derek White if Derek White's going to miss time. And I think in terms of this matchup, I would take the Bucks because I'm kind of a Bucks homer guy, but I could see the Celtics winning either way. Depends on who's healthy in this game. It's a toss up for me.
I'm gonna go with the Bucks too. I think this is the revenge game. I think they're upset about losing the series this last playoffs. Bucks.
Yeah, Bucks. I think they're going to be looking real serious that time of year.
This is exciting though. We got basketball on the horizon.
Leaked information.
Can't wait.
Christmas Day games. Is there anything better? Thanks for watching, everyone. Subscribe down below.
Click that bell. Ding!